What's up, guys, to a new episode of the Genesis Podcast. It's the same forecast we got here. Introduce yourself, guys.
You already know it's Jason back here again.
It's your boy Colin.
Mello, you already know.
And you got your boy here, Desi. We're at it again, another episode. Last week, we talked about new convert mistakes. And so if you did not check that out, go back and check that out. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Spotify and Google Podcasts. And so for anyone who did not check out our previous episode or even our first episode, go back and do so. But today we got a new one, guys.
Yes, we do.
This is something new. You ready for this?
Yeah. This is something I really am looking forward to talking about.
Yeah, bro. We're talking about media and Christianity. So how does media affect our walk with God? We're going to get down into that in terms of, how that affects us and, give you guys just some feedback, if you guys are struggling with this, in your walk with Christ. Just to give you guys some background of all forms of media, right? We're going to talk about and give us a little bit of background of our testimonies in terms of how media has shaped our Christianity. And, maybe some, a little bit of tips about, fasting, doing media fast. So, continue to hear us and we will get down into that. And so I really wanted to start off with this, guys, in terms of types of media and its effect on our Christianity. We're talking about music. We're talking about Netflix. We're talking about just TV, advertisement, social media. List goes on. You know what I mean? And so, what are these things, what are these media outlets that, I guess are consuming, the minds of young Christians, how does that affect us in our walk with God? What do you guys have to say about that?
I would say that depending on, I think for a lot of people, you give yourself to, whatever, draws you, whatever interests you. So, if you're a very, guy, if you're a guy that, is really into sports, you're going to, chances are you're going to be drawn into, sports media. If you're someone that's really into movies and music and stuff like that, chances are you're going to be drawn in, to anything that has to do with movies or music and stuff like that. So, the thing about media is that it was designed, right? It was designed to keep people entertained.
Yeah,
right?
It was entertainment.
Mm-hmm. So there's all these different entertainment, right, outlets. You have news, right? Some people look at news as entertainment. I personally I don't. But you have news, right? You have like we said, you have movies, you have Netflix, you have sports, right? Music. You even have social media, which
Wait. Are you serious? Wait, Christians need to be entertained? Some people think Christians are boring people, we don't need to be entertained. What about that? What is that, eh? That's nonsense, eh?
Yeah, man. I mean, you tell me, you tell me one person, right? Right? That's saved. That's gonna say, yo, I don't need to be entertained. I don't watch any sports.
Yeah.
I don't watch basketball. I don't watch soccer. I don't do none of that. Like, come on, fam.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
But we get that, huh, Colin, Mello? Definitely when we talk about media, people think, especially for Christians, okay, do you guys even watch sports, or do you guys, what can you guys do? People always have those type of questions when it comes to media, I guess, and, as a Christian, are you even allowed to view media? Is this media supposed to be even part of your Christianity?
I guess, as a Christian, you know what it is? As a Christian, we get saved and, we're separated from the world. But, in the world, we bring some things with us in Christianity. We think it's nothing that's not going to affect our Christianity, especially, movies and sports and music. I know for me, one big thing was, movies. I was a movie guy, scary movies. That was my thing. I used to sit back and I watch scary movies. I used to laugh at certain situations in scary movies. You know what I mean? It's not until I really got saved and I understand that there's a demonic element to it. Like, you know, like those scary movies, it's like, yo, what's really happening in here? You see
Yeah.
how it plays and how it shifts your whole emotion. And I sit back, I see like some weird demonic stuff happening, and I'm just sitting back and I'm just laughing and giggling, you know what I mean? But then when you come into the Christian world, it's like, yo, you see something drastically wrong with that, you know?
Yeah,
Your
yeah,
conscience
yeah.
is shifted, your whole mindset is different. And just like coming from the hood, especially gangster movies, you know what I mean? A lot of people like, we emulate certain stuff. We start to live vicariously through a lot of characters through the movies. You know, I know with Jamaica, the big thing, like in Jamaica, the reason why Jamaica is so violent is because all the gangster movies that is shown on Jamaican regular television. Shatas, James Bond, you know what I mean? American
your
Mafia.
soul.
Exactly. Exactly. If you think about the country of Jamaica, like the media has a very big effect. Jamaica has two different channels back in the day, you know, two different channels. A lot of people have cable. But on those two channels, everybody's sitting down watching these violent movies, and Jamaica is a violent place. You know, like, and the music itself is just, we live vicariously through these things, like, you know. And as a Christian, we tend to sort of bring these into our world where it's not as dramatic, but it's like subtle. You know what I mean? But it also plays a very big effect on us. Movies was a big thing for me. We could get more into it, but like, I don't know if Collins wants to take over.
For me, it was I'd say social media. I'm big on that. So I kind of like watch videos, funny videos on it, and sometimes I watch YouTube and I watch one video, then listen to another video, then another video. Before you know it, it's like 4 hours just watching YouTube videos. Like, what am I doing, man? So it's like a time trap, man. And you just I waste my time just watching videos and watching things and watching other people, and it causes me to like have that comparison and comparing my life with other people, and that's a trap, So those things, for me, those are the negative impacts of my social media.
I mean, I wanted to ask you guys this question because I believe it's in Romans chapter 12, talks about, not being conformed to this world,
But be transformed and renewed of mind.
Be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And so, knowing that, how does media shape our worldview? You know what I mean? And like, if we have the wrong media types in our lives, how does that shape our worldview?
The wrong media types in our lives. Like, what do you mean wrong media types? What would you say?
So, I mean, like, if you, as Christians, like, if we're indulging in Netflix, and stuff like that, shows, especially Netflix shows that comes to mind, like, how does that change our worldview and how we view, like, I guess, in terms of how we view the world? If we're so consumed with it, we're not seeing things from a biblical perspective. You know what I mean? If we're so plugged into media and the wrong things, we're not going to see things God's way, right? Because our minds are now being conditioned, right, to I guess the worldview. So I guess maybe I should have phrased it differently, but how does media shape your mind, right, in terms of Christianity? Like, it makes us think so much more worldly and more carnal than it does actually, like, as a Christian biblically, in terms of being separated unto God and living righteously in with God.
The truth is, the media will never do anything good for you in terms of Christianity. Never, right? Every media outlet, right? Although, most worldly media outlets, right? Although a lot of them won't say it, right? But most of all they do is against Christianity, against what the Bible says, right? We could talk about the movies, we could talk about the music, right? You talk about the music industry, right? Most of all they talk about, nothing to do with God. Not even close, right? As a matter of fact, you listen to that music, it brings you farther away from God. So for a Christian, right, the more you give yourself to, media, worldly media, right, the farther you're gonna get from God, and the less you're gonna know about the things of God. Because what's gonna happen is your mind's gonna be conditioned by what the media says, right,
That's
rather
right.
than what
Yeah.
God says. You know what I mean? We could talk about, for example, we could talk about what happened to George Floyd, right? A lot of people, right, took that, right, and based on how they're already conditioned, right? Because some people's minds, they're already conditioned to think worldly, right? So they're looking at it from a worldly perspective. Riot, we're gonna do this. And
That's true. That's true.
Black
Yeah.
Lives Matter and
Yeah.
this and that and okay,
Yeah.
right?
And it's important, man, because for us, yes, we live in the world, but we're not supposed to be of the world. We're not of the world. We don't have worldly mindsets, worldly principles.
Yeah, we're not supposed to be influenced by that.
We're not supposed to
No.
be influenced by the riots and the news and all of that and be swayed from one way or another.
Yeah.
The Bible talks about fixing our thoughts on what is true, in terms of God's words, fixing our thoughts on things that are honorable, that's worthy of praise, right? And so as a Christian, viewing these types of media outlets, right, even something like music, it's very, very, very important that you're placing within you things that are gonna glorify God instead of glorify the world.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. Conditioning. You said it. Condition. I think what movies. We're on this topic of movie, like media, movies and stuff. But movies, if you realize that, like, movies is really conditioning people, because the people that write their movies, like, most of them are not Christian. You know what I mean?
That's
You
true.
realize every single TV show has to have a gay person in it now.
Yep,
Yeah.
Why
yep,
is
yep,
that?
yep, yep.
You know what I mean? They have their own agenda. Some movies that we're watching are coming from, like, some of them are, it doesn't even have to be a scary movie, but some people have, like, a real twisted mindset, a real twisted view of life, and they push it so subtle you don't even realize. Especially in, like, if you realize love movies, you have a lot of girls around here chasing fantasies and looking for their knight in shining armor, because what? Disney has placed that upon us, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We look for fairy tale concept in something instead of something real, which, like, movies and media gives that to us. A lot of our minds, a lot of stuff, we're talking about movies, but a lot of cartoons have been conditioned in our youths, our
Yeah,
kids.
yeah.
We've been conditioned to this day in certain
Yeah.
things, certain like movements I see and certain things that I do in my life. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
from movies. You know what I mean? And cartoons, I'm talking cartoons. Like, the media is conditioning us to an adult life.
Yeah.
And it's like from some worldly perspective. Like, a lot of these guys, they sit in their back rooms and they think of ways to distract you and draw you away from God, because people think, oh, the devil, when you sell your soul, it takes it away. You know what I mean? But it's really, I'm going to hell and I'm going to try and get as much people
Yeah.
to hell with me, and and this is his world. You know what I mean? If you look
Yeah.
at Hollywood, is corrupted into this day. You see how they push mass media, and going on to social media, you see how Instagram is influencing people to act certain ways, and you live in this vicarious world where you think, oh, this is my vision, this is my virtual image, and this is who I am. On Instagram, we give people the false identity of who we think in our minds we are. It's like a subconscious view of who we think we are in our mind when we're living on Instagram, Facebook, and all these type of social media networks.
I wanna pose a question, and then but maybe you can say what you're saying, but just know I got a question for you after.
Okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, because the social media thing affected me, going into my adult life, right? And when I was younger, I was soaked up in it, and it affected my communication, and me being able to communicate smoothly with people and face to face. Sometimes, it's easy when someone said, "Oh, I this bad thing happened to me," and you just send a prayer emoji saying, and you don't even pray for the person.
Facts.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
It's saying the prayer, you don't even
You're not even praying for the priest. Put all the prayer hands and all of
Oh
that
man, is that those chain letters people sending you around? What am I supposed to read this and then you feel better? Like
Right.
what am I supposed to do? Exactly. So
I know.
So that alone has killed our our
That's hilarious, bro.
that alone has killed our communication skill. I even pity for the generation coming after me. Like it's gonna be hard for them to communicate face because everything's on the computer. Everything is
Yeah.
typing and Twitter fingers and
Yeah,
you know.
a lot of
It's,
social anxiety. A lot of people are gonna suffer.
yes.
As you
Yeah.
say that, then, because that was my question, you're actually leading into it. Like, as you say, the next generation, like you out of the four, you're a father, and you have, you have a son, and now you have a newborn daughter. So, how does media play a factor now in the home? Like, are you more, give advice, I guess, to, as a young father, to other people who might be listening, might be young fathers or young parents out there, how does that shape that in your home, protecting your kids from these media outlets, these TV shows and stuff like that?
Oh man, it's challenging, I'd say, because sometimes I have to be aware of many things, like because now people are saying that they're gonna start putting gay stuff in cartoons.
Cartoon shows, yeah.
So now I have to start watching out every single thing. Like if my son is listening to something, I'm like, because now he has a tablet that I got for him, and if he's listening to something and they're saying some kind of word, like a swear word or something, I just pay attention to it real quickly and say, okay, turn that off, just turn it off and just take that app off the tablet. So it's difficult to pay attention to those things because you have to monitor them carefully, and it's hard though. But I try to reduce screen time. My kids, try to reduce, like, okay, there's a specific time where you can watch it and a specific time where you can't watch it. You just go outside and play. Kids don't play outside anymore. You know what I mean? So when I grew up, I was playing outside. So take them outside, play, let them build real relationship, have proper conversation with other kids, and build that skill of communication with other kids. And that's how I'm gonna raise my kids, to be honest.
Yeah, I wanted to now lead into the second part. Now we talk about like our experiences with media. I really want to ask you guys, about your walk with God. The genesis, the beginning of your walk with God, and how media was in your lives in the beginning, and how that shaped or changed as your Christianity grew.
So that's a very good question. Because obviously, when you first get saved, you first come in, to Christianity, you give your life to Christ, right? You have a lot of your life is media filled, right? You have, right? You're watching a whole bunch of stuff. You're listening to a whole bunch of music, right? Like I said before, in the podcast before, I had like 1,000 songs on my phone, right? 1,000 worldly songs, right? Like just a whole bunch of artists. We're talking about from Biggie to Pac to Nas to
Gucci Man in there.
just a whole bunch of guys, man. Right? Like I probably had A to Z, man, and every alphabetical order artist was there.
Yeah.
Right? So we're dealing with that, having to get rid of that, having to get rid of shows and movies and all these things, and it definitely I won't say that I did that in one shot. I won't say that I went cold turkey in like the first 3 months. Wouldn't even say first 6 months, first year. It wasn't the case at all. But what I realized is that, right, this stuff does affect growth. This stuff will stop you from growing, right? Because at the end of the day, right, I mean, people can say, okay, I can, I can read my Bible, I can pray, I can grow spiritually, but I can still watch this. You could think that, right? You could think that, and you're entitled to think that, right? But I'm also entitled to tell you that you're wrong, because the truth is, man, it's very difficult to say, yeah, I'm gonna read my Bible, I'm gonna pray, but I'm also gonna watch something, right, that the Bible tells me not to watch. I'm gonna place my eyes or let my ears hear something, right, that the Lord is convicting me not to hear, and I'm gonna be okay spiritually, right?
That's true.
It's not the case.
It's
at
not
all.
the case at all.
I think a lot of Christians, you know, we it's not like we don't know. The fact of the matter is, you may start your Christianity and not do those things, but then you feel like you arrived, so you can welcome these things back in your life.
It's
and now you're
true.
welcoming the Netflix
Yeah.
shows that you once, you know, God convicted you of. You're welcoming the little bit of Drake, you know, clean Drake music that, you know, you know what I mean? You start bringing it back because you feel like, oh, okay, I've been saved for a couple of years now and I'm
Yep.
good, you know?
I can
And
listen
so,
to it.
you know, that's the problem. That's really the
Clean
issue with
version
that.
on. It's true. It's true. You know what I think it comes down to too, as a Christian? Like, yeah, you know, when you get saved, mine is kind of different from Jason. When I got saved, you know, I separated myself from the world. I separated, you know what I mean? I was like, yeah, I'm Christian now. Yeah, right. You know, and like months later, like 6 months later to a year, it's like, okay, you know, you start watching certain movies, you start listening to certain music, and you're like wondering, even 3-4 years into your Christianity, you're like watching certain movies or listening to certain music, you're wondering why you're having mind hassles. You know, why you're struggling with lust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Why you're struggling, like you're being a hypocrite also, because you, even if you watch like movies, right? And there's a sex scene in it, and then you're talking to somebody about struggling with pornography. That's also like being a hypocrite. It's not
Yeah.
the full out thing. What I'm telling you, I'm a man. Once you need is that little glimpse, and
Yeah.
your mind becomes enlightened, and everything just starts to light up in your mind. You
Yeah.
know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
From just a simple sex scene, it's basically watching pornography
That's
at the
true.
same
Facts.
time. You know what I mean? And even music was a bad thing for me. I realized like I could have listened to like any music. You know, I hear some man's like, oh, I stopped listening to country, I stopped listening to pop. But when I hear like, you know what I mean? My thing was rap music. When I start listening to rap music, my emotions change if I hear a rap song, fam. I'm telling you, like I would sit down there and I hear a rap song, and I'm feeling the same thing. I'm gonna go shoot, I'm gonna go rob. But I'm sitting in the same place where I am. I'm like, what the heck? Why am I feeling this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like especially with the drill music. Like anytime I hear those music, it's like you're back into the emotions. You feel the same emotion, same drive. You know what I mean? You start hating some other block. I'm saved other 10 years. It's 8 years. I don't even remember who the heck or what they're beefing over. But you feel like, oh yeah, you should go do something to someone. It's like that energy that's placed behind that media. It's just like it could also become a big deficit in your Christianity, where you start to struggle with things you don't even know why you're struggling with them. You know what I mean? Bring up certain spirits upon you that you don't even know. I'm telling you, man, Christianity and media doesn't go well.
No, not at all.
I heard this saying. I think I was listening to a sermon, and he said, "Distraction is the enemy of discipleship." And I'm like, wow. Okay,
Say that one more time.
Distraction is an enemy of discipleship. I'm like, wow. And social media brings distraction, and the enemy of discipleship. And the thing is, again, is that our generation is the most distracted generation of all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are the
Yeah.
most distracted generation. And again, but God has given us the most to be able to spread the gospel, but at the same time, we are the most distracted. So the devil is fighting that every single day with distraction, the spirit of distraction. So yeah.
It's true, because media is if you use it properly,
Yes.
it is a massive
Tool.
tool
Yeah.
to like, just reveal so much to people in terms of Christ, to basically give the world Jesus Christ, using that as a tool. I mean, you're talking about, we're coming out of a pandemic where everybody was at home, and what did we have to listen to? Like when it came to sermons, it was live. It was
Yeah.
YouTube
Yeah.
live
Yeah.
stream, right? So it's like not all media is bad,
Yeah.
right? But how we use media needs to change,
Yeah.
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 right? And so that's very, very, very important. Now I want to ask you guys this before we go into the last segment of this episode. Advice that you would give to anybody who's struggling with media choices or just media consumption. So if you were discipling someone, whatever, that a young Christian that has so much like they're spending so much time on media, whatever that is, binge watching, what would you give as advice to someone who can be free from that? Because that can actually be a struggle for some Christians.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think I think my advice to someone who is struggling with binge watching or just media in general, struggling to cut off media, I would just tell them cut it off. You know what I mean? I mean, what really can you say? It's either you do it or you don't do it, right? I mean, there's no secret potion like, oh, drink this and you'll stop watching media or you stop desiring media. No, you're gonna have to make a choice, a disciplined choice. Like with anything we do in Christianity, it's gonna take discipline. It's gonna take us saying, okay, no, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna place my eyes on this. I'm not gonna place my eyes on that. So I think also too, right? It's just it would help just being accountable, right? Yeah. If you know that, hey, you know what, I have an issue, right, with this, right? I have an issue, with consuming media. Just pull somebody aside, someone that that you can trust to keep you accountable, and say, hey, I need your help, right? I want to stop watching this. I want to stop giving so much time to media. I need you to help me stay accountable to that.
There are little things though, like I'll say something quick because on my mind I don't want to forget, but
yeah,
very quick things that you can do honestly to help you when it comes to media. I know for me, I personally do this even now. Is if you read off your phone, stop reading the Bible off your phone. Get a physical Bible, read off your Bible, because what happens is sometimes you'll skim through the Bible, you're reading, and go back to seeing something that's a post that was made on your phone. So that's a quick way, right, to get yourself away from media, completely away from your phone. Read from physical Bible. Number 2 is set times where you're gonna watch clean. Like me, I love sports, right? So like ESPN, stuff like that. I specifically try to watch that on my lunch breaks at work. So while I'm working, some days it's tough, I'm not gonna lie, but I try to basically listen to Christian content, right, and worship music. But then when I have my break time, then I'll spend my break, which is about 30 minutes. I'll watch some YouTube content with basketball, whatever, and then go back to my work, and so you can place media, right, in sections of your day where they're broken up into times, right? You might spend 10 minutes. You're in the washroom, you're, getting ready to go out, whatever. Okay, you could probably play ESPN video there or something like that, right? But then you have a time limit, so it's easier for you to monitor. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. Instead of actually binge watching all day, you can do that to kind of help you if someone doesn't just, I guess, cut it off cold turkey.
Yeah.
I'd say cutting it off. Like just cutting it off like that, it's not gonna be easy.
No, it's not.
Because when you cut it off, and there's a gap there, you have to fill it up with something else, something more productive, right? So, and for me, I listen to sermons. My drives, I listen to sermons. Just put wireless earbuds and just listen to sermons, and I also listen to podcasts. And listen to podcasts. I listen to audiobooks. It helps me, if I'm going to listen to something, I'm going to watch something, I want to fuel myself with something that's going to, enhance me and make me better, either spiritually or it's going to make me better as a person, you know what I mean? So, but yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Colin says. It's a substitute. I think you're going to have to substitute a lot. If you like movies, you're going to have to substitute to Christian movies, you know what I mean? If you like hip-hop, you're going to have to find Christian hip-hop. Right, you know what I mean? Right. We're not saying all of it's bad and all of it's detrimental, but the world pushes a different narrative from what the gospel message is. Yeah. And that will shape your worldview. And I definitely think like cold turkey, it probably won't work, but some people, they have to do that cold turkey. Yeah. Because I know some people, like, they have businesses on Instagram and all of that stuff. You know what I mean? You need to be on there. So a good timeline will be, say, like an hour every day, 30 minutes every day. You know what I mean? Not like every half an hour in between hours. That's not life. But like, you would definitely need to substitute.
Yeah. So, lastly, I want to get into this. Then, if someone needs to adjust their media consumption, right? And we're introducing to them a media fast. You know, what is a media fast? First off, what is the importance of a media fast, and how do you go about doing it?
So, I would say the importance of a media fast is to, free your mind from, obviously worldly media, and all that's going on in the world, and just to take that time, right, and replace, the media that you would watch with the Word of God. Replace it with with prayer time. Replace it with just spending time in the things of God rather than spending times in the things of the world. So that's really what what a media fast is. What was your other question? Sorry.
It was basically the importance of it. How do you go about doing it, which I think you covered, and what exactly is a media fast?
Yeah, so the most important thing about a media fast is that when as you're doing the media fast, right, what you're doing is that you're building a lot. You're building spiritual habits, right, and you're building a foundation, right, in Christ. You're building a foundation, right, in the things of God, rather than building a foundation in the world, which is not gonna get you nowhere but
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
If I could say that, I can say that, right? I can say that on this podcast.
Yeah.
I won't get canceled.
No.
So for me, media fast is that isolating myself from worldly things, things that that will feed that permit me to feed my flesh, like even sports and all things that not media part of media that's not actually a sin, like sports and other things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So cutting that entirely and just like Jason said, building good habits, building good spiritual habits, and sometimes I try to do like a 7 days. Depends on how long you want. Some people do 30 days and they delete Instagram, delete Facebook, delete everything,
Yeah.
and just that's what they need right at that time, right? So it helps though. It helps. I feel refreshed when I do that for like 7 days and I come back. I feel sometimes when you're on social media for so long, it feels like you're addicted. You can't let go of this thing. You can't.
Yeah.
You're always on your phone. Every 4 minutes, you're picking up your phone, even though you don't have to do anything on your phone. Just
Pick it up.
you're looking for notification. Look at what's happening, what's new, Is that habit, right, of always picking up our phone. So when I'm observing that media fast, I see that I'm able to leave my phone for a long period of time, like for like 3 hours straight. I'm not even touching my phone because and that's a good thing, you know what I mean. So, but yeah, that's media fast for me.
Yeah. For me, it builds discipline in the things of God, like reading, praying, and especially shows me like how connected we are to the world. Like, like especially if you play video games, you know what I mean? That may be a struggle for you to just like, I'm not going to play video games this week. You know what I mean? I'm just going to leave that alone and just focus on the things of God. It may show you how like you're trying to reach one level in a different world when in the real world, like how connected we are in this world. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of weird because if you're a Christian and you're addicted towards these media stuff, right? These media, social media, like video games, movies, and then when you try to separate yourself from those, it becomes a struggle.
Yeah.
It's sort of like even an addiction because it's like you start sweating, you start saying, yo, what's happening in the video game? What mans are passing me? If you play certain video games that builds the levels, like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, like those games that build you up in a virtual reality world.
I haven't heard that in years.
Yeah, I know. You know what I mean? Things that build you up in a virtual reality world, when in the real world, you're like, these things are sucking the life out of you. You know what I mean? And when it comes time to separate from them, it shows you how much you really need to be fasting and totally be separated from those things, because these things, those things are not being built up in no kingdom of God. And as a Christian, like Desi said with the Bible verse in Romans 12, is that be renewed, transform of mind, that shows you like when you're in this world, you have to be separated from the world
Yep.
and stop looking to the vicarious and the virtual and all of these type of stuff, because there's a real life to be lived, and souls is at hands. God's kingdom's at hand, and we need to focus. You know what I mean. So fasting builds discipline.
That's
Definitely.
great, man. Honestly, man, I feel like we provide a lot of good information right now in terms of media and Christianity, and all that people are listening to right now. We really hope that you guys take this right and you use this in your walk with God. Allow it to shape you, help you to build yourself, and build a strong foundation in the faith. And so we do want to leave off with some final remarks. If anyone has anything to say to end off this episode.
Yeah, I would just say, I mean, the truth, truth of the matter is that, as Christians, man, we should and we want to grow, right? We should want to grow. We want to grow. We want to do well for God. And, obviously, media is a big part of this world, big part of our lives. I don't think there's one Christian that's going to tell you that they don't deal with they don't, battle with media daily. Like it's a daily decision you have to make every day, right? With the media thing. And the truth is, as even as Christians here, 4 of us here, we can say that, yeah, you know what, we do, we give in to media. A lot of times it's YouTube.
Yeah.
Right. YouTube takes up a lot of our times. You go from watching, a video about, how to run a cable, right, to watching Kobe Bryant highlights. And a lot of the time it is like that. Right, and obviously not all media is bad. We understand, sports is a big thing. We understand that, right? But it's most of it is about discipline. So be disciplined. Set your disciplines, right? And and just abide by them, right? Be faithful to your disciplines, right? And you will do well.
Colin, Mello, quick remarks.
Just get into the real world, man. Separate yourself from media. The things of God is exciting. You could go out there, evangelize.
Facts.
You could fellowship with people. You know what I mean? Especially coming out of quarantine, we've been inside. We see how life is. We don't want to stay connected to a virtual world. Just get outside and get connected with people. Stay in fellowship.
Colin.
Facts.
All right, so I'm gonna give it a shot. If you don't take anything from this podcast, take this. Like I'll repeat it again. Distraction is an enemy of discipleship. That's it.
That's a wrap.
Who said that? Did you say that? Did you say that?
I didn't say that.
The way you're repeating that, it's like you said that.
No,
you
I
wanted
didn't say that.
you wanted to throw a
I
plug.
know it's trying to coin it, bro.
You wanted to throw a plug, like yeah. Remember that one. Remember that one.
That's a wrap, guys. We thank you for listening. Take care and stay tuned to next week's episode. And we're signing out. Genesis Podcast. It's your boy Desi.
Yeah, it's Jason.
That's Colin.
Mellow.
Signing out. Take care, guys.
Later.
Peace.
What's up, guys? This is Jason from the Genesis Podcast. And if you're wondering, where are these guys from? Well, I'll tell you. We're from the Proclaim Church, located at 31 Edgar Avenue, North York, Ontario. Now, if you want more information, you can always go to proclaimchurch.ca, where you will find a list of our activities. If you need a church you want to come to, you don't have a church, you're always welcome, right, to come to ours. Again, website is proclaimchurch.ca. Go there and you'll find all the information you need.